And he said he was mowing with it and he heard a kind of a noise, and then he had a bunch of white smoke coming out of it, and I did some checking, see if he had any compression on each side, and the one side didn't have hardly any compression, and I couldn't even hardly get the spark plug out, and this is what I found. So something let loose and the piston slammed into the valves and the spark plug. I could barely get that out of there because it was mushroomed over so bad. But you can see down inside there, I don't know if I can get that there's a mouse nest in there. So this side overheated, and it must have seized up or dropped the valve or something and just beat the crap out of the piston. I guess you can't really see in there, but we'll do a teardown video on this one. We'll see what actually went wrong, caused it to fail. Project for today is going to be tearing down this Kawasaki 26 horsepower V-twin and seeing what made it fail. I'm pretty positive the mouse nest overheated it, but we'll tear into it and see what kind of carnage is in there and what parts we can save off of it. I'll get you set up and we'll get started. First thing we'll do is take the top covers off. If you don't recognize this motor, this is the one that came off of that Gravely zero turn I did a engine swap on. I'll put a link to the video up in the corner. That was all of them. And there's our mouse nest. You can see that it chewed the coil wire and plugged up that cylinder pretty good. It was probably worse than that, and he was still running it. I'll probably burn some of it out of there, but that's a pretty good mouse house that he had in there. I'll get that vacuumed out of there before we keep going, and then we'll tear the head off of this side and see what that piston and stuff looks like, and then take the bottom cover off. I'm pretty sure the connecting rod will be broken there too. There should be lots of carnage in here. I'll drain the oil out of it before it starts leaking on us, if there is any in it. Oh boy, that's tight. I don't think there's a heck of a lot of oil in that. It's pretty black what is in there too. I'll just let that drain while I take that intake off of it so we can get the heads off of there. Wire for the solenoid on the bottom of the carb. That we can pull that intake off of there. Well, we can take the voltage regulator off of the side. Actually, we just got to take that one wire and I can get this shroud off. There's a zip tie on there. And we can get that coil out of our way too. All them wires are junk on there. You can see how chewed that is. That one's no good. The other coils should be savable still. And we can take the valve cover off. Nothing looks too bad yet. I'll get that oil plug back in there so I can spin this around and pull the head off. Looks like the head just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 head bolts. I have to take that rocker arm off to get at that one. If I was going to be saving any of this, I would be taking this apart a lot more careful. I'm just saving parts. I'm not going to ever put this back together. It's pretty well shot. You can see that push rod is all bent. I think that's for the exhaust side. Oh, that's intake. This is the exhaust. Give me a 12 for that one. That's a tight one. I think we're ready for the reveal. Oh yeah, there's some good carnage there. Got a missing exhaust valve. This push rod is bent also. And a giant hole in the piston. You can see the connecting rod right there. It was bashing into the head. The exhaust valve is completely gone. Connecting rod is not broke though. That's kind of surprising. See if we can see down in there. I can see down in there a little bit. That kind of shows how tough these Kawasaki motors are. Yeah, actually, by the way the cylinder looks from here, it doesn't look that terrible. But I'm sure it got down in the junk, got down in the crankcase, so it was destroying everything else. I'll get it so I could turn it over. I got the piston down at bottom dead center, and this cylinder actually does not look that terrible. That's kind of surprising. There is some nicks and stuff in it from that valve head bouncing around in there, but the other thing is this valve still moves up and down, but the whole valve seal and everything is moving with it. So what happened is this probably opened, the exhaust valve opened, and that valve guide, I could probably pull that out with the pliers. Well, maybe not. But I could see that whole valve guide. That's not the valve stem, that's the valve guide moving. So when these overheat, what happens is the valve guide usually comes loose, it pops down, and then when the valve goes to come back up, it can't go up because the valve guide is touching the bottom of the valve, and then it gets stuck down, the piston jams into the valve, busts it off, and then you're pretty much done at that point. So it does pretty much look like an overheating issue. You can see where the head gasket probably failed right here when it got hot. It was leaking out there. So he ran it quite a while it was still hot. If we would have caught it with just that wrong, we probably would have been okay to just put a head on it or a head gasket. I'll get her flipped over. We'll take the crankcase cover off, see what we find in there. I decided to take a few more things off before I go flipping it over. I'll take the flywheel and stuff off of there, but I'll just speed this part up so you don't have to watch the whole thing. And if you didn't know, this is what it's supposed to look like. That's pretty nice and smooth cylinder in here, and the whole piston is there. And then this head actually looks like it's pretty good. You can see how it's shiny all around where the head gasket was. That black spot on the other side, that's a telltale sign that you had combustion and oil leaking out of the head gasket, where this is nice and clean. So that one was sealed up good. It was still running on this cylinder, so that kind of makes sense. I was kind of surprised it was running still when he brought it in. Now we can flip it over and get the crankcase cover off and see what happened under there. Normally, if we were going to take this apart like this, you'd want to clean up all this stuff so you didn't drop any dirt or anything down in there. But this one, it's not going to get put back together, so we're just doing it quick and dirty. That doesn't look too bad in there. I'm sure the oil pump got a bunch of junk in there. That's right here. There you can see all the pieces. That's a bunch of aluminum pieces from the piston. And then we should be able to pull cam out. So that actually doesn't look too bad. I'm still looking for where that valve went, or if it just got pummeled into oblivion. But now we should be able to take the connecting rods off, get that crank out of there, and then I can clean this up a little bit and see what we got going on in here. Rod bearing doesn't even look that bad. That was the good side, if you want to call it that. That one doesn't look too bad either. Oh, I knew we'd be spilling oil at some point. And there's the busted one. It's got a crack right down the side of it. That got smashed real good. Another chunk of aluminum. Well, we should be able to pull the crank out. That doesn't look like it got beat on either. I think the piston took the brunt of everything. I think I'll pull these tappets out and then I'll drain the rest of the oil out of it. And we'll see if that valve is in there anywhere, or if that just disappeared. Well, I drained the rest of the oil out and that's what we got. Just a bunch of chunks of the piston. I'm thinking that was all there was. I think the valve probably got smashed into oblivion and then flew out the exhaust port maybe. Because I'm not seeing it anywhere. It's not going in here. I can run a magnet around and it's all aluminum stuff, nothing sticking. That's kind of odd. Well, I got a few usable parts off of this one. I'll save the starter and the carburetor and a few other things. Well, one coil is good. That crank actually is good. I don't know. I might be a little nervous to use that though. You wash it real good through all the oil ports and everything. And that head's probably still good. And the intake and that top cover. I've had a few of those that are missing the top covers when they come in. Well, there you have it. That thing's pretty much in pieces. And I'm not gonna be putting this one back together, so you might see me use these parts on a future project. But that's going to do it for this video. If you like this sort of thing, like the videos and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.